All right, team, welcome back. Today's episode is brought to us by Liquid IV, America's #1 leading hydration supplement. Whether we're looking for some electrolytes post workout, an immune support, a sleep aid, and we also have a sugar free option, it's all there with Liquid IV. We can save ourselves 20% off at checkout using code NOMADIC. That's Liquid IV, save yourself 20% off using code NOMADIC. Today's episode is also brought to us by Laird Superfood. They've got it covered from supplements to coffee to snacks. Everything comes from the ground. It's plant-based, focusing on nourishing our body from the inside out. That's Laird Superfood, Laird Superfood. We can save ourselves 15% off using code NOMADIC. That's Laird Superfood, 15% off using code NOMADIC. Now, let's get back to the chat. Well, first of all, brother, I want to thank you for your time.
Welcome.
And then I want to jump into that, doing things purely for other people.
Yeah.
It's something that falls to the wayside a lot these days, man. People don't, what am I getting from it? I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
And I think it's an innate human trait, to do something for others, to see them benefit. You get this intrinsic, just emotive response where you want to do more of it. And I think we've lost it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, sometimes you see on social media, like somebody filming themselves, like giving something to a homeless person, and that's just disgusting, isn't it? Like, just do those things in private, because obviously their reason for doing it isn't pure, is it? They're trying to get likes or comments or whatever. Those sort of things should be done purely privately on a human level, one-to-one. I quite often do stuff like that. I was with my boy Charlie during Storm Eunice last year, which was the worst storm since 1987, the hurricane in 1987. And we were out. There's a coffee shop called the Coffee Cup. It has all the shutters down because they thought the windows were going to come in because it's right on the seafront. And the homeless guy, it's an awful storm, and the homeless guy came in there, and I just went up to him because I wanted Charlie to see it as well. So, I try and set such a good example for my son because, your son will follow your example, not your advice, So I just went up to this guy and said, would you be offended if I offered to buy you something? Because he was counting out his pennies and he was looking at stuff, and he literally had 2 pences and 5 pences and fingerless gloves. He was soaking, he was really down on his luck. And I just said to him, choose what you like. He said he accepted the offer, and I said, choose what you like. And like 20 odd quid later, he was well full. But the manager came up to me afterwards and said, well done for doing that. I thank you for doing that, because he said if I do it, I get in trouble. Like, they can't give free stuff to homeless people. They get in trouble. I suppose from a business point of view, it may attract people, more people, if it's known that they get food or whatever. But I don't know. It would seem wrong to me, even as a manager, to tell somebody that they can't give food that's going to be chucked out at the end of the day to somebody that needs it.
That's the thing, right? So much goes in the bin, with these rules and regulations around hospitality of like, it can only be in the cabinet for X amount of hours, and then it needs to be fresh. And you're like, yep, what's the difference between that and something in a packet? Not much. Like, the food is still good. It's either going to go in the compost, the landfill, or somebody's belly, right? So it might as well go in somebody's belly.
Yeah, especially somebody that hasn't got the ability to buy it, for sure.
Yeah.
I think more places are doing that sort of thing now, and I think less is being thrown away. I think they took the date off milk now, a lot of supermarkets, so you just smell it, see if it's still good. So I mean, and that's what we used to do, isn't it? Before somebody told us what date we had to throw it out by, like, we would just smell it, and if it's not curdled, you wang it in your coffee because you can't really taste it anyway. And so there is things happening, but it's slow, obviously. but yeah, doing things for others is, I like one of an absolute pleasure for me is taking either my girlfriend or friends out for dinner.
Mm.
I'm lucky I have the ability to do that sometimes financially, and it's so nice when you can just take that worry about paying off other people and you just see them enjoy it. Um, and if I was ever like really loaded, that's what I would do loads of. Just take my friends away and take them out for dinner, take them to the cinema, take them to the theatre, take them wherever,
Mm.
take them on holiday. Because I think that's real pleasure. I really struggle accepting gifts. I'm rubbish at accepting gifts. Because I didn't have the best childhood, so I'm not really particularly used to it or particularly conditioned to it. So, but I do enjoy giving presents or gifts or my time or anything. Just yeah, for sure. So
What are you trying to
yeah.
find?
Sorry.
What are you trying to find in life?
Well, I think I found it. Contentment.
Mm.
Yeah, I've got a great life. I'm content. I've had a hard life. By any measure. Um, but I'm really content now. I'm really content. I literally am the master of my own destiny. I do what I want when I want, within reason. I have to be certain places like the school and stuff for drop off and pick up. But apart from that, I run my own life. Um, I'm financially sound. So yeah, content. That's what I think. Seeking happiness is always something likely to end in disaster, but I think seeking contentment is worthy because you're then happy with what you've got, and that's a really good place to be. Yeah, it
I agree.
doesn't mean I haven't got drive to improve. I still have, improve my position in life and things like that. More so for my son, but um, I am content on a daily basis. I'm content. And actually, I had a friend of mine. He's a multi-millionaire, and we were drinking rum late one night, like 2 in the morning. His Lamborghini was worth more than my apartment at the time, and he just said, like, just threw me completely. He said, "I envy you," and I was like, "Whoa, why would you envy me? You've got everything." Like a man in his 60s, and lives in Chelsea, great place, place in Battersea as well, and he said, "You're content." He could see that in me. And he said, "I wake up every morning." And this is a guy in his 60s. I wake up every morning to think, how much more money can I make? And I wake up in the morning thinking about training and going to the beach with my boy. There's a difference. I will never be as rich as him because I haven't got that drive, but I think I'm happier.
Yeah, that's the thing, right? I think people chase like a short-term pleasure or an instant happiness or some sort of
Mm,
hit of a dopamine. They're like, I feel
mm,
fucking great. You're like, well done, Jeffrey. Like you're gonna feel like that for 10 minutes, and then
yeah.
what? And what's for the rest of your day? Never mind the rest of the week and the year. And I think about Aristotle's quote all the time of happiness without fulfillment is failure. And
Mm,
he says, or he poses the question of we should chase something called eudaimonia, right? Which is being content or fulfilled with
mm.
where we're at. And I think about that a lot.
Yeah. Jordan Peterson says about don't seek happiness, seek meaning.
Mm.
Your life should mean something. Your life should mean something to other people. You should have a purpose. And I think if you seek that rather than happiness, you're probably going to end up happier.
Yeah, I think
Um,
so. I
yeah, for
really
sure.
do.
Yeah.
It's
So I'm really lucky. Yeah, I'm content. And if I was seeking anything, that was it. And I am. So I'm not seeking money. I'm not seeking getting bigger or more muscly or anything like that. Or bigger house or anything like that. I've got a really balanced, very lovely life, and I'm happy with that.
what taught you the lesson of seeking contentment or fulfillment or eudaimonia, whatever you want to call it. What
Mm.
taught you seeking that little slice of peace that you now have?
Yeah, I mean, one of the reasons I don't compete in anything anymore is because I will become unbalanced. And, and I have been very unbalanced in my life at times. And, that's I can generate huge focus if I choose to on certain things. And I know for those around me, if I try to, I think I would do well nationally in the bodybuilding contest at my age. I've looked at the numbers powerlifting wise. I do really well as well. I'll probably walk in and win in my age group and my weight category. Certainly in regional competitions, if not national. But I know that for me to do that, I know how obsessed I get, and I don't do it for those reasons because I value the relationships around me. Because they would go to shit, unfortunately, if I allowed my personality flaw, which I think it is a flaw to some degree, to take over. That obsession, that obsessive personality, I've got it. Which I appreciate could be used for good as well. Nobody who's excellent at what they do is not obsessed. They are all obsessed to get to that level, obviously. But I'd rather, I don't need plaudits. I don't need medals. I don't need a plastic trophy and a tub of protein powder for winning a contest as validation.
Yeah.
My validation, for me, the most important epitaph I could have is father, and that's my most important title ever. Royal Marine after that, but father first always, and that would suffer. I won't let anything get in the way of that. That's the most important thing I do. So,
obsession is a funny one, right? I think I think it gets a lot of bad rep, but I also think a lot of people don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's like, well, yeah, sometimes it's necessary if you want to go achieve X, right? But you have to be able to allow yourself to go there in a very specific amount of time. And usually that's very small, because if they are someone like yourself or myself, I'm exactly the same. I have to do multiple different things to spread myself across. Otherwise, you lose me. That's it. I'm just gone fully focused. I've not looked up or I've not stopped training. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. You've lost me. And I think we have to stop ourselves from doing that.
Yeah,
it's like a horse at the start of the race. It's still waiting for the go sign. It's like, no, we can't let it happen, because you will lose yourself and you will lose the people around you.
Yeah. I think you get to a certain age where the people around you become more important than ever. As a 20-year-old or whatever, excuse me, it's a little bit different. You haven't quite realised yet just how important human connection is. I don't think at that age. I certainly didn't. The last time I competed in bodybuilding was 1996, and I was 26, 27. I did well. I came second in Great Britain that year. I won the Wales, which was a qualifier. I came second in Great Britain that year. But, I haven't competed since, so that tells you what I think about bodybuilding. There's obviously some people will say I'm obsessed with training, which is fine. That would be a view. I get that view because I train every day. So you could say that's an obsession. But it doesn't, I don't allow it to impact those around me. If I need to train early, I'll train early. If I'm out all day with Charlie, then I'll train at 5 in the morning or 6 in the morning. And I'll do EMOM, so it's done in half an hour, and that's me for the day. And it hasn't, whilst he's having his breakfast, I've done 200 pull-ups and I'm fine for the day, And so, yeah, it's a balance for me, like, for sure. And I eat pretty much what I want, which annoys people. I get that, but I do. And I love food. I love restaurants. I love home cooking. I've never said no to something because of my physique or my image of my physique. I've never said no to anything. If I want it, I will have it. because I think food and wine and rum is one of life's pleasures, you know. And so, yeah, I think my life, I strive for balance and contentment as best I can with the character flaw I have of being dangerously obsessed if allowed, I would say.
Do you think you have to have that obsessive personality to become a commando?
No, no, I don't think so. I know some really balanced guys that have done what I've done. And I don't think I was particularly obsessed when I went through training. Also, I was young, 1988. They're sort of obsessed for you. I don't know. You're just taken along for the ride. It's a you know, you're there. Like, especially back then, you know, there was no social media. There was no phones. There was no anything. I didn't watch TV or look at a newspaper for 9 months. I didn't know what the hell was going on in the world. So you're definitely, certainly back then. I think it's harder now because of all the social media. I trained somebody recently to go get into the Marines, and he struggled because his friends, you know, he's crawling through the mud of the River Exe estuary, getting shouted at, and his friends are having a barbecue down the beach. You know? So I think it's harder. I think, you know, we were treated very differently to how they're treated now, for sure. You know, there was no such thing as health and safety in 1988, and you got battered and stuff like that. But I still think it's probably harder now because I had no outside, nothing outside the camp that was dragging me away, mentally or physically. You know, I was just quite happily, like, you just survive in that. Through Marine training, you just head down, trying to get through that day, and then trying to get through the next day, and then those days add up to a month, and then you're trying to get through the 9 months, which I did straight away. Luckily, I didn't get injured or didn't fail anything, so I went straight through with the troop I joined, which is quite rare. There weren't many of us that did that, and but that's a matter of luck as well. Obviously, not getting injured or not getting injured severely. Everybody's injured, but not injured severely enough to get back trooped. So I don't really think I was obsessed then. I think you were just, I don't know, you were just institutionalized and along for the ride and just hanging on as best you could. I think, you know, because it wasn't really self-motivation. You know, they were motivating you. It wasn't self-discipline. They were disciplining you. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I'm much more self-motivated and self-disciplined now than I was then, because thinking and you know where you had to be and what you had to have with you and all that was thought for you. You were just told. You know, you just had to follow direction. That was it. You didn't have to be motivated or disciplined. You just followed direction. That was it.
What was the biggest thing you learned from commandos?
I think the importance of having a good team around you, for sure. Like people you could rely on. You know, you don't have to worry that they're not behind you. You know, you can go through a door or do whatever you have to do. You know, and you know your team are behind you. So I think being a good team member and judging the ability of others to be good team members is pretty vital. Yeah, I think just working well, because quite often we would work in small teams, you know, on operations, and you know, like in Belfast in the 80s, we would work in 4-man teams. So you know your teammates, you better trust them because you were trusting them with your life. You know, every single day, like every minute of every single day. So your teammates you got close to and you trusted, and you know those bonds are still there now for sure with some of my teammates. You know, if they ever call me, I'll be there. You know, and likewise for them. So yeah, I think just, you know, you're not a one-man commando. Do you know what I mean? You're a team. Anybody who thinks they're Rambo is not going to last very long. So yeah, I think that really teamwork and just being switched on, like being a thinking soldier. I think that's what differs from the army. Maybe I'll probably get some flack for that, but yeah, just thinking, being switched on, being aware of your surroundings, what's going on, the strategic overview of what you're doing. You're not just a number. You are, you need to know what it's about. Yeah. So, but the importance of teamwork, and I had that in the piece as well to a much lesser degree. But, I had a few crewmates over the years that we developed that team where we didn't have to say anything. We just look at each other. We know what we were going to do. Like didn't have to say a word. Just our body language and just the looks we gave each other. We knew what we were going to do without having to say it, so that it gives somebody a heads up. We knew what we were going to do. And you develop that just working very, very closely through potentially very dangerous situations. It just comes. Yeah, so team. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's what's missing in a lot of places, whether that's blue collar, whether that's white collar, whether that's training partners, whatever it is, right? I think it's missing because we're always looking for the next one and the next teammate and the next partner and the next whatever. So you don't get those little details, the intricacies of the relationship building and the teamwork and the bonding with each other, of the non-verbal communication, because it's always thinking about the next one and watering the grass over yonder, right? Rather than focusing on the one that you stood on. And I think it's lost in a lot of ways. And, if we get a piece of string, it's not very strong, right? But if we keep raveling it, next thing you know, you got a rope. It's a little stronger. If you keep doing it, like, it's going to get even stronger, right? It's just all teamwork is, developing that, and I've led by a bit of a line for a long time of family comes first because real friends are family. And you don't need a lot of people, but the people you do have, you best put some fucking effort in. So you've developed that relationship so deep.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I haven't really got any family, so my friends are very much my family. And we're tight. We have each other's backs, sure. And there's only a few of them. I've got lots of people know me.
Yeah,
lots of acquaintances, but my circle's small.
That's the way it should be.
Yeah, and I trust them, and they trust me. So, and we've proved it over the years with each other, So, yeah, for sure.
Brother, I got 3 questions.
Go on.
What's the greatest piece of life advice you've ever received?
Walk your own path.
Why?
Because I've always done it. Sometimes it's caused me problems in two professions that don't appreciate that. But I know when I come to the end of my life, I can say I live the life on my terms. And that's not about being selfish. It's about not being swayed by people that sway others. I'm a bright guy. I can work things out. I can make my own decisions. I'm an adult. I take responsibility for my actions, good or bad. And that's how I live my life. My training is very unique because I don't follow anybody else. I do what I do. And I've been doing it for 40 years and I've experimented on myself. And I've found my path that works for me at this age. So, walk your own path. Yeah, for sure. Somebody asked me for a soundbite, a bit of advice the other day on Instagram. And that's what I said to him. Young lad. Yeah, I said, walk your own path. It's not easy to walk your own path. People want to put you in boxes and, they want to corral you down a certain way. I've always butted heads with authority. I've always done my own thing as best I could. And I continue to do that. Because when I get to the end of my life, I've lived the life how I wanted to live it.
I completely agree, man.
Mm.
I really do. And I think those who are more easily swayed usually don't know themselves well enough. I
Yeah.
think you have to walk into your own void, and sit with yourself and really develop that self-awareness of who the fuck are you? Who the fuck
Mm.
am I? And once
I've
you
made
know
some,
that,
yeah, I've made some massive mistakes in my life.
join the
I'm,
club.
I'm sure I'll make more, but they're my mistakes. I own them. I did, they're mine. I wasn't influenced by other people.
Yeah.
I managed to fuck it up myself, all by myself. And which is, if I do something well, I'll take the credit for that. If I do something badly, I'll take responsibility for that.
Yeah.
I do believe in, Jocko Willink wrote a book called Extreme Ownership, and I do
Heard,
like
heard.
that. Have you? Well, there you go.
Bingo.
Yeah, and yeah, I think that's important. I don't blame other people for my mistakes. I've done them myself, and hopefully, I've learned from them.
Hopefully.
Hopefully, I wouldn't bet your house on it, but yeah, hopefully.
Yeah. What's the worst piece of life advice you ever received?
um, I got caught up in this, like getting a bigger and a bigger house. Got caught up in that, and so I was like remortgaging because Charlie's mum and I, we had a good income and like combined, and yeah, we just every 2 years we're moving, getting a bigger house, and that's a trap. We ended up with this massive house on Hayling Island that was way too big, with rooms we didn't use, and for what? All it did was take up my time and my resources. I think your house should suit your needs with no excess, because it'll drag you down otherwise. I could afford a bigger house than I've got now, but I don't want one. I've got this house suits me and the boy, and that's what I need. That's all I need. I don't need it to have a status symbol. And I've got a 12-year-old car, and yeah, things like that. Like a lot of people. There's a meme along this line, but I thought this anyway. They go broke trying to buy stuff to impress other people they don't even fucking like. Like I live well within my means. I'm good, and I don't need. If some girl wants me for my car, then I don't want that girl.
Hmm.
And I've got a lovely house, but it's small. But compared to the house I had, for sure. But that was a trap. Yeah, possessions are a trap.
Materialism, mate.
Especially if you're doing that to keep up with the Joneses, with the sort of professions we were in and the people we were sort of mixing with, they were all doing the same. And then you all end up like, who's got the bigger house? Who's got the better car? And that's a trap. That's a trap. You need to get out of that. You need to be away from that mindset. Only have things that you need, and only have things that are adequate for what you need. You don't need any excess in your life, because it'll drag you down, time, resources, and everything. Like, you don't need that.
Takes up too much mental space too, I find. Like,
Yeah, it's horrible. It's a horrible mindset to have. Yes, you should improve, but like invest in other things and do travel and like don't spend your money on a flash car. Spend your money on travel. If you're going to spend money, spend it on traveling. I love climbing mountains. Especially with my boy now, and yeah, just things like that. I'd much rather spend my money on that than any like a watch or I don't
for
know.
sure.
Like, yeah, I think I get it, because people do get caught up in it, especially when they're younger. Like having flash this and flash that, and there's lots of people on Instagram that Andrew Tates with their cars and all that sort of stuff. But it's a trap. You're not going to be content if that's what your goals in life are.
Mm.
And my goal in life is to be content. So I've simplified my life. Honestly, I've got the most beautiful, simple life you could have. And I think that's simple.
I got one more question. What are the 3 words you would tell your younger self?
It'll be okay. Because I've had a really challenging life. I have I think, I know a lot of people have, but I think by any standards I have. And here I am at 54. I'm okay. More than okay, but I'm okay. So, yeah, through all those sort of trials and tribulations that started from when I was 15 months old, yeah, it'll be okay.
And look at you now.
Yeah.
Found your little slither of peace.
Honestly, absolutely. And I saw something the other day, like, people don't understand the violence that happened to become this gentle. Yeah, and I do feel a bit like that. I've experienced a lot of violence in my life. I've dished out a lot of violence in my life. And I'm now gentle, like with my little boy. If you see me with my little boy, or my partner, like, I'm gentle. That the old Simon's still in there if needed, but that would take a lot for him to come out now. But I think it's important to have that capability still. I don't decry having that, but I'm gentle now. I'm relaxed. I'm calm. I'm considered. I'm less knee-jerk than I used to be. And yeah, I'm kind of where I want to be.
Brother, thank you so much, man.
It's taken half a century to get here.
Mate, things take time.
Yeah, so don't be hard on yourself, anybody. Like, things take time, but it'll be okay.
Yeah.
It'll be okay.
Thank you so much, man. We'll have to get a lift in whenever I get back to